if us as individuals, influencers, if we can take a step or two further beyond just what we do in the day-to-day transactional environments that we live in, think about the ripple effect that would have in our overall society today. And for apartment complex, it's easy to do, man. So you have a gathering of hundreds of people. You find many ways through gifting or through holding community events or holding classes or find a way to give them a different skill set. All kinds of ways you can make a difference.
Welcome to The Path to Wealth, the show about well-being, fulfillment, and financial freedom. And I'm your host, Hennche. Welcome back to The Path to Wealth. I'm your host, Hennche. Today we have the pleasure of introducing Iven Vian, founder of Anthem Capital. With a remarkable journey from a retired Air Force career to 15 years in real estate, Iven manages an impressive portfolio of over 3,700 units. Recently, he founded the Apartment Ninja Warriors Academy, where he trains investors the industry's best tools and tactics to thrive in the industry. Beyond work, Iven cherishes family time, enjoys traveling, hiking, and fishing. Thank you for joining us today, and let's dive right in.
Hey, thank you for having me. Pleasure being here and look forward to our time together.
Yeah, of course. You know, one of the things that really struck me while I was kind of doing my little research due diligence is something that I think we have in common. Both you have a mom that had her family business, you know, where she was touching people in her community. And that's something that I grew up with too, you know, and maybe you can speak to how much of that shaped you as a person and how you conduct yourself in business today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, at the time, I was not aware of what my mom was doing or how she was going about doing it, right? This is after just even recently in the past few years, I've took time to reflect and realize the impact that had on my life. And for my mom, I mean, she ran a grocery store, man. I mean, there's tons of these grocery stores, right? So it's not like anything unique about that business, of course. But, you know, for my mom, what was unique was that we had this little grocery store in the middle of a neighborhood. Imagine any neighborhood where there's houses all over the place, but there's this one little store that got grandfathered in to be the only commercial property in about a mile radius. So it became the center point for everyone to come and buy whatever they needed from a grocery store, little market, right? And my mom, she just had a way to connect with all of these customers and take time to connect with them, in not like a long time, but in a very effective way to connect with them. Ask them how they're doing, how's your day? And then they would feel so comfortable around her that they would open up with her. And it kind of became this community center in a way. And because my mom took time to understand them, they then want to take time to understand her and get to know her. And it wasn't like she was giving away free groceries all the time, or it didn't become like some charity place, which there was nothing wrong with that, but that wasn't what she was doing. It was just more about her acknowledging and recognizing people as people and not casting any judgment. And I think maybe the idea that she was very unconditional about her approach to people. And so much, so I don't even know if she really understood the impact she was making. She just is a giving, caring, kind lady. It's not like, I don't know if she was like consciously going to say, I'm going to make a difference in my community today. She just naturally did based upon who she is as a human being. So much so though, that the impact that she had is that when these customers, when they were young, like I saw them when they were like in the teenage years and they become adults, you know, in their 20s, she was there for 27 years. Okay. And then those adults started having kids. And those adults would move away, say long ways away, 15 miles away, 20 miles, 10. They would still go out of their way to come back to mom's store to buy from a store just to see my mom. To me, that was like, wow, she made an impact, not only at the store level, but she made an impact on the surrounding community. And that's when I got this idea of asking myself the same question. And for me, I own and operate apartment complexes. And a lot of what we do is we focus on how we want to make an impact at the community level, at the property itself. But I've taken it a step further based upon the impact that my mom has had on me and how she has made an impact in her community. I took on the question of how can I also make an impact in the surrounding community based upon my property and create this community where the people at my property are going out and making a difference. And the one way we go about doing it is we recognize people who are already star tenants, already making a difference at the property level. They may be a community leader at the property level. And then they go out and invest in nonprofit organizations or do something of community service, something oriented around community service. And then we get behind them in their cause. We acknowledge them in that. And we make a donation to the community that they're making an impact in surrounding them. And we just believe that to further their cause, because we believe if you invest in the surrounding community will invest back in you, and it furthers their cause. It creates this ripple effect, much like how my mom did. And so we have this one gentleman, for example, in Salt Lake City, where he is a chef and he has local chef classes to create community at the property level, teaches people how to make sushi. He also volunteers at the Utah Food Bank. And we knew about this, and he's a good tenant. He's always on time. And he's making a difference, And we said, listen, we want to make a difference in your life and further your cause. But the way we'll do that is we're going to make a donation to the Utah Food Bank on your behalf and acknowledge you for that. And give him a certificate and award for him. And the Utah Food Bank, in turn, Thanksgiving, donated all these turkeys back to our apartment, where then all of the tenants can come together and have a turkey Thanksgiving meal at the property. That was, to me, that was like, this is working. This is how we do it. So that's I guess a little story about how my mom impacted me, and now I'm using that in my business today.
That really resonates with me because that's the kind of family I come from. And originally I had no idea. Like I just didn't know because it wasn't explained to me. It was just lived in front of me. Mm-hmm. And my parents also had a food business. It was like a butcher shop. And for generations, people would come there. And in a similar way, because all the other businesses went out of business in that small town, we were like the last one in that mile radius that you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And everybody would come there. And we actually shut it down on December 31st last year. And it was just overwhelming to see the last couple of weeks go down, the last week go down, how many people, they were like writing letters. They were bringing books with prints and pictures of the business over the decades. Mm-hmm. I mean, the business was 127 years in total. But it was just like mind-boggling to see the involvement with the community and how much it meant to people that this was no longer there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was just really inspiring. And it kind of prompted me to go down the same path that you are, where you reflect on it because it wasn't consciously told to you. So that is something that really resonated with me when I was just listening to you. Yeah. And how you can generate that, even, for example, on an investment level in your community.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. Exactly. And I mean, just to take it a step further, I mean, I really think that if you have thriving businesses that create thriving communities, then we all thrive. And that we can, I don't know how far you want to go down this rabbit hole, but we can really make a difference in our cities. I'm more about making an impact at the city level, not the federal macro, but more micro. The more micro difference we can make at a very small micro level, those stack, the greater impact you'll have overall at a macro level. And so I'm more focused on the city, the county, at the very local level and where we can make a difference in today's society.
I think you got a point, because at the end of the day, a nation, a state, it consists of people, individual people that choose community over like being separated. Mm-hmm. And the more you nurture community, the more that will also translate into how they go about the choices that they make. It could be on a federal level, it could be elections, but it comes from nurturing local community.
100%. In businesses, there's a social responsibility. This is my opinion and my philosophy. There's a social responsibility in what we do with them, that we're given access to the resources and we have ability to make influence, right? And if you can take a step beyond just the impact you can have by creating a profit and making a difference in someone's life because they're making more money, they can choose a different lifestyle, all of those things. But what if we just go one step further, two steps further in what we're doing in our businesses and understand the social impact that you can make at a very micro level, a very simple level. And for apartment complex, it's easy to do. So you have a gathering of hundreds of people and you can just simply find many ways through gifting or through holding community events or holding classes or find a way to give them a different skill set, like how to write resumes or how to look for work, all kinds of ways you can make a difference at an apartment, right? So, I just feel like if us as individuals, influencers, if we can take a step or two further beyond just what we do in the day-to-day transactional environments that we live in, think about the ripple effect that would have in our overall society today.
Yeah. What would you say are some of the things that are best received by the community? Something where you can actually tell, maybe similar to what you just mentioned, where you could tell that this went full circle by you having the turkeys back at the property, but something that the tenants actually received well and where you feel like you were impacting their community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think in the beginning of a property, we take over troubled properties or we take over properties that may have distress associated with it because physically it's being ignored or operationally the tenants are not being acknowledged for their own well-being. And so that's a responsibility right there, right? That I come in and we improve the quality of the building. We improve their environment. We give them the amenities that they're looking for, right? Like a fitness center or a path to walk their dogs or a place to sit down and relax outside, like barbecues around the pool, improve the pool, add playgrounds for kids to play in, soccer fields, provide a work center, especially during the COVID times for people to work in. Oh man, during COVID, Texas, we had a property that the electricity would go out. We had a huge issue with the electricity, and the local city came in with truck beds of food and water, and it's really about if you can acknowledge the well-being of a human being, people appreciate that. If you understand how these people think about themselves at the very human level, they don't feel like they're appreciated. They think that maybe they're the downtrodden, the outcast, the forgotten. Like, what if you just take a moment to acknowledge them? That right there, I think, is the essence of what this is about. And you reflect that in how you care for your property. And what you care for, people will care for. And you'll, in turn, see how the environment of your community begins to change, where you're affecting culture, honestly. And I have a property in Salt Lake City. It had a bad culture. And that's reflected in the business sense. Money would come in late or not at all. We had a lot of evictions, a lot of delinquency, all this. We had cops coming every 2 to 3 times a week, at least, when I was there working on it. It was on a rougher part of town that nobody, everyone had a negative eye about this property. And it looked like a prison, honestly. It was painted gray and black when we took it over. I said, this building is missing life. We add life to it, life will come to it. And we painted, we hired a local artist muralist to paint these beautiful Utah-based flowers on the building. We added, I'm a guy, and no offense to guys like pink, but I'm not a pink. I don't like pink, but we had like pink and red and rosé colors to the building. And we hired local designers, and those ladies did an amazing job. Beautiful. It did not feel like a prison anymore. And people started acting like they're not prisoners. They started acting like, flourishing human beings. And you saw how the culture of this property came alive, and people would thank you for that. Man, thank you so much for what you're doing for this property. Thank you so much for taking care of this property. And we had so many problems before. We just appreciate what you do for us. And then you have those community events, and you bring in, outside resources into the property to add more life and access to resources for people that they maybe normally would not have access to, right?
Yeah.
And you will just see a natural transformation take place. And that in turn is reflected in your financial statements for your business side of that property, right? And I love that process. I just love it. It's so rewarding for me to see that happen. And this business that I do, everybody gets to win as a result. Everybody, anyone involved in the real estate component to it is going to win. And it's incredible.
Yeah, I remember a while back you were posting, how you kind of were celebrating the moment when you realized that your construction team is a bunch of Ukrainians, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's another component. How you can create this transatlantic bridge between Ukraine and the US, and for all of us to fight for a common cause in a situation that's horrific where they do not have access to opportunities because the situation, again, I don't want to get political here, but things outside their control now, they're being dispersed and displaced. The US government has a program to fast track them into the US. They have a skill set to add value, to make an impact. We had a need. We had a need to bring in qualified, skilled, hungry contractors to want to do great work. And it couldn't have come at a better time. And now today, I mean, so many beautiful things have come out of this once difficult situation. Now that it's now transformed into an amazing, beautiful situation. And a lot of times you don't realize the blessings that come into your life for a purpose and a reason. It's actually a good thing that all of these challenges came about. Although we did incur some financial challenges as a result, but we were overcoming them today. And I think we're having a greater impact for how we reacted to the situation. But to explain it a little bit, we have Ukrainian workers that come and work on site, they live on site. They don't work on any other site. And, they want to work and they want to prove to you their value and their worth. And so they will go over and above what they're paid, in my opinion, to give you the best product. And it is still the best price and the fastest. We can execute. And meaning like not 5, 10, 15 plus units a month, full rehabs, everything top down, and 10 to 15% less cost overall than what the market is, where the market is at today. From an execution standpoint, from a business standpoint, that is a game changer. And people need to understand, to survive in today's business, you have to execute. You cannot allow any leniency in that process. And I have now streamlined that process. I now have my own vertically integrated construction company. And now we are providing services for other owners out there because they understand the value that we can bring to them. And me as an owner operator in the apartment world, I understand the impact will have on the operation. And I provide them a boilerplate template, a streamlined process. They plug into their apartment, plug into their business so that they can then to execute, turn units, drive revenue growth, and then eventually hopefully beat their projected numbers and win. But it stemmed from creating community. And, and I saw that, and I celebrated them, at the property. They would hang the Ukrainian flag outside the window. They had the top, it was called Towers on Main, and they had the top suite. It was a 3-bedroom, a huge suite, like a 2,000 square foot apartment up there. And they would hang their Ukrainian flag, and you look outside and see it up there. And we rallied around the flag, man. We celebrated them. Not to project or impart our own political beliefs or ideas, but just to celebrate them as human beings. I mean, we all, at the end of the day, we're human beings, right? And so in that experience, we saw a transformation in this property that they were a part of. And it was just a tremendous, incredible, it just touches my heart when I have the opportunity to be a part of that. And I'm so grateful to have that opportunity. And I was in a bad spot, and they came in to help me. And so now I want to help them carry that torch and allow them to make an impact in other people's communities. And it's exciting to see that evolve and come to light.
Yeah. And it's probably also very rewarding for them to find a place, where they feel like they can make a difference despite being displaced from their own homes,
Mm-hmm.
and where they can create homes for someone else to move in, and where they can make a difference in your life and the community's life.
100%. I mean, they're just very humble, hardworking people, and to have those people in your life is a tremendous blessing that I'm so grateful for.
Yeah. And I think also what you touched up on, the people, the operators, the syndicators that are at this stage able to be vertically integrated and turn around their units not only on budget, but maybe below budget or faster than anticipated. It's a blessing. Like this is what you need right now in this environment to succeed and to win.
Absolutely. We are in a negative leverage environment. Interest rates are higher than cap rates in most markets. You are probably coming into a property, if you can't execute, you're going to be at negative cash flow in your first year of business. And that first year, that first day you take over the property, it all starts. And there is no room, no more buffer. Of course, you're going to have conservative underwriting. Sure, you're going to have some buffer. But I'm telling you, like that buffer is going to get eaten up quickly. Even though you're conservatively underwritten, there are always unforeseen circumstances. I mean, today I just got word another pipe burst in one of my apartments for the 15th time since we took the thing over. It's like, come on, man, like these unforeseen things happen. So you got to be able to make up for it through execution. But what are the challenges that people are experiencing today? What are the real challenges? You can't find a contractor to deliver. The piece that you need to execute on is the interiors. One, contractors don't want to do interiors. There's no money because they don't have a streamlined, solidified process to get them done in a quick manner. But we do. So we can make money in interiors. They want the exterior, they want the roof, the parking lot, the things that you have huge margins. But if we have speed and accuracy, we can go to volume scale, and we have unlimited access as many workers as we need because there's so many of us that we can bring to any project. And if we need to do more work, we just bring in more workers, right? But if you understand the importance of execution and know what and also be able to look into the future and understand what those bottleneck issues are, knowing what lead times are for countertops or windows or cabinet fronts, what lead times are and how to create a streamlined material ordering process so you'll never have a stop work situation due to waiting on materials. Cannot allow that to happen. Additionally, our guys are up on the job at 7 and they work until quitting hours for the property, usually around 6. I mean, that's like 11, 12 hour day, Monday through Saturday. And if we can get them a room, we have them live on site. That right there is why we are winning. Most contractors, they have a few jobs. The guys show up around 10, dragging their feet, head down, really don't want to work on an interior. It's tedious, it's monotonous. They maybe work a few hours. They get distracted by something. The level of productivity is just not there. And the net effect is the owner sees he or she can only get about 4 to 5 units per month. And time is money in this business. Vacancy loss is one of the biggest killers to your top line income, right? Any unit that sits there is one unit, you're losing money. And that impacts the value of your property, if you think about it, because it hits the bottom line NOI. And so backing that in to a streamlined, effective construction process will greatly change the value of your property and be a game changer for you. And if you understand everything, if you understand that, then you invest in that. Understand that it's worth the investment to build out those processes, those systems, and build that team up. And if you don't want to go through that process, I'm here to help. I understand how to do that, and I can help you build your team, or I can help you turn units so that you can get ahead of this. And taking a step back on the macro impacts, before the interest rate climb, we were getting spoiled because the cap rate compression component to the valuation of our property was simply allowing operators to be sloppy in their execution Where maybe they didn't grow their NOI, they actually decreased their NOI, but because the cap rate kept compressing, they were able to still sell at a 1.8, 2.0, at a 2.5x return of the original. It's like, and everyone looked like heroes. But everyone kept saying, when the tide goes out, we'll see who the real winners are. I understood this in the beginning. So I was building out my processes, my SOPs, building out my systems best I could and knew how at the time from the start, day one. And I'm glad I did. I didn't scale as quickly as I could have or bought the biggest property I could have. But in the long-term basis, I am now in a better position by going slower in the beginning versus faster.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we've seen a couple of examples of people that were in a hurry and got wiped out in the process.
Exactly. And I don't want to comment on that piece, but I just, I have the attitude, if you want to grow, take care of home base, take care of the one you have, take care of the property you have. You want to raise more capital, take care of the investors you have. If you want to buy more deals, take care of the deal you have. Once you do that, you'll be able to scale from there.
Yeah. And that seems to be a philosophy that, comes again from your mom. You take care of what you got, and you do it to the best of your ability, and you nurture it over a long time horizon, and it will really compound and translate in a different way.
100%. And that will have its own ripple effect in due time.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the academy that you're working on, where you actually want to give back to people and teach people.
Yeah. So a lot of the mentorship groups, do a great job, but they focus more on the financial strategy, how to acquire a property, how to underwrite a property, how to build out a pro forma from a financial perspective. But me, as a hands-on operator who's lived through owning, operating apartments, going full cycle in 14 now, I look at things from an operational perspective. And I think that's what's missing in today's marketplace is how do you actually create an operational plan that will affect the numbers in your financial plan? And that's what I do. I give my academy students the strategy and how to create an operational plan and not only build, but teach them how to execute. And the way we execute is a 4-pillar process. It's team, tools, tactics, and roadmap. First, you have to understand how to build a team. You got to have the right A players on your team. And the operational side, typically that first main key person is your property management company, all the way down to the manager level. You have to understand how to build that team and have the right people operating at your property, to include all the surrounding vendors, insurance companies, CPAs, contractors as well. Then you need tools. Let me back up. On team, one thing I emphasize is that I hate the term asset manager. You're really an asset leader. You're the leader of this whole thing. The buck stops with you. And it's time to step up into that position of responsibility, which I encourage people to do through my own way to teach them. I encourage them, I teach them how to think and be and act like a leader. And it's a never-ending process. It's a continuum. And I am learning myself as I go through this. But as we take on the leadership role, things work out better that way than the management role, okay? We lead people, processes, and then we allow the processes to manage. Next, tools. Just like a brain surgeon has their own set of tools, or a heart surgeon or a medical doctor has their own set of tools, we have our own set of tools that we use to operate properties. I have my own proprietary reporting system. I have my own way to forecast roadblocks and specific tools that I've created to help me understand what those roadblocks are, to track them, monitor them, and then create pivot plans today based upon future roadblocks that I'm seeing. And that's key, is to understand how to pivot and avoid roadblocks to get to your destination in the most efficient way possible. Then I have tactics. As I have my team members operating on these properties using the tools that we have, then we're implementing tactics. And really some of the main tactics, again, is forecasting methodology. How do we forecast? We have lead and lagging indicators, and how do you use that information in your business. It's not just getting the information, it's understanding what the information is telling you, and then how to make key tactical decisions that your team members are then executing. And I have now built out those tactics and how to do that. Part of it is just always making sure that you're operating from your end goal and you're building a plan from your end goal backwards. And that's the operational plan piece. A lot of what we focus on is building the operational plan and then executing the operational plan and using these tactics to keep us in the lane that we need to be in to get to your destination. And the last piece is roadmap. You have your team members, you have your tools, you have your tactics. But again, what road are we going to follow to get to the destination? If you own a bus company in New York City and you want to drive into Los Angeles, there's a lot of ways to get to Los Angeles. And sometimes it makes sense to go the longer route because of potential roadblock on a shorter route. And I teach them how to build that roadmap, but then follow it, especially during the rehab piece. A lot of what my roadmap does is it focuses on the construction management process in that first year of holding, where a majority of the value add is created on the property. I hand that over to my students. And, my goal, the motivation for this stemmed from my own trials and tribulations as I went through this learning process, and knowing that there is not access to this information. There is not a book that I'm aware of or a community that understands it to this level out there. And I said, this can't be, there has to be one. And I understand that we're all facing the same challenges and going through the same struggles. It's not only do I want to bring those solutions to the forefront for other people to add value to other people's lives, to help them improve their properties, but I am passionate about creating a community of people. I want to see the operational world in apartments go to the next level. It's time we raise the bar, that we no longer are at the beginning stage. And I know there's a lot of guys who've been doing this a lot longer than me, but why aren't we connected more then? Why are we all struggling with the same things? And I think we all have this mindset of, I hold the secrets to myself and I don't tell anybody how I'm operating my business. It's gonna hurt my business. But the universe doesn't work like that, man. If we all come to the table and be transparent with the struggles that we're facing, and we share with people the challenges we went through, but also how we overcame those challenges, in turn, people are going to do the same. And then they're going to open up and share the challenges they're going to go through, in turn, how they overcame those challenges. Where then us as a community then are only going to get better. And then we'll have a whole new set of challenges that we get to have to deal with. But in turn, the bar is up here. So the value that you bring now is at a whole higher level. And again, the universe rewards you for that. If you're going to bring a whole nother value, higher level of value to the table, you're going to make more money. We're actually hurting ourselves by holding these secrets, by not being transparent with the struggles. We are suffering. Let's be real, man. Properties are bleeding out the freaking end all over the place in this country right now. But we don't want to talk about it because we think that no one wants to invest with us again. We think we're gonna blemish our reputation, right? Dude, we're all going through the same thing. So let's just stop pretending that, nothing's going wrong. There's challenges and there's a lot of room for improvement. And that's what I'm passionate. I want to see that these challenges, these basic changes, like a lot of it's operationally driven that we can fix. We can't change the macro interest rate rise and all those things, but these things that I'm talking about are fixable if we're willing to come forward as a community. And so that's why I'm here today. That this academy is really about building that community.
Yeah. And I think one of the last points you made, it's focus on what you can control instead of what you can't control, because, the macro environment is what it is. That's something that even banks get pushed into. Forget about us, like we're even a smaller boat in that. But there is certain aspects that we can hone in, and that's within our control. And I think you're right. There's many communities, real estate communities, mentorships groups, who don't necessarily speak about that. and don't bring it to the open table, where the focus is more on underwriting, closing deals, and then you go and see how you deal with it.
Man, exactly. And, you make money when you buy, but you lose it when you operate. And there's you spend all these hours, to get a deal across the finish line. But the day your occupancy goes from 95 to 80% in a matter of 2 months, your freaking game plan's out the window, dude. It doesn't matter what the hell you underwrote to. Now you got an occupancy problem, and you're chasing the wind on that situation, right? You're bleeding overnight. So who cares about hitting performer rent, dude? Just get the thing leased back up. Let's get it stabilized. Then focus. You know what I mean? So it's I don't know. It will finally come to a head when you'll see more of these challenges. Unfortunately, more challenges are going to come our way. And I think it's, the macro environment will force us to change our mindset and understand this, because people are all about creating solutions to problems, and we'll get to the core issue. Don't put Band-Aids. You got to get to the root of the matter. And then we'll build a new system as a result and be better as a result. I just want to be part of that process before it,
Yeah. Iven, where can people connect with you? Where can people connect with the community and become part of that, process of building a new solution?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, again, thank you for having me here. It's been a pleasure to share with you, and I always enjoy the opportunity to connect with one another and also connect with your listening audience. I have a Facebook group called Apartment Ninja Warriors. I would just appreciate you connecting with me there. And I share a lot of what I'm going through in the real world, a lot of my insight, a lot of my team tools and tactics and roadmap. I share it there with my community members, and I'd love to connect with you.
Yeah. And one of my favorite questions that I like to place kind of at the end is, what do you consider a life well lived?
What do I consider a life well lived? I love that question. How much more time do I have? Because I love philosophical questions. Man. It's I am convicted with the belief that I have that I must squeeze every ounce of blood from my turnip. I'm squeezing blood out of this turnip, man. I am leaving nothing back. Nothing. And I think it's a shame that a lot of people have an attitude of just wanting to get by in life. Or a lot of people have an attitude of just being okay or being comfortable, and I take it upon myself to be comfortably uncomfortable in the attitude that I want to be of best use and to fulfill my purpose in this universe we live in. And I think that purpose changes throughout the course of your life. A previous life, I spent 20 years in the Air Force. I retired almost a couple of years ago now. And I spent 20 years serving my country, and that was my purpose then. I have a purpose of being a father, a husband, of imparting everything I can in my sons, yet allowing that nature to take its course in their lives so they can discover it on their own. And it's a delicate balance in that process. But I have a purpose in adding value into the business community that I'm passionate about today. And I think as long as I'm focused on giving everything I got to make an impact in other people's lives and leave it all out on the table before I go, in which we don't know when that day is. So that I live like there's no tomorrow every day. Like even in this moment, I'm being as transparent as I possibly can, then I feel like that is a fulfilled life. That is a fulfilled life.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to for me. Because you cannot, these other things that we want access to and that we care, that we talk about in this business of the freedom and the money and the things, all those things, we all know we can't take those with us. But it's really about what you can leave behind. I think that matters the most. Because once you go, everything else on the other side, I believe, is taking care of itself already. So you might as well you have nothing to lose to give it all away now, right?
Yeah. I really resonate with the word impact, becoming the best version of yourself just to touch other people's lives. And I think this is something that you laid out, and I want to acknowledge you for that. It's like serving communities beyond your family, touching people's lives, and like just whenever we snap out of this life, just having made an impact.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that with you as well. And I just believe that's what it's about.
Yeah. Well, Ivan, thank you so much for doing what you're doing on a daily basis, touching people's life and taking the time to share the story with us and kind of what you're up to in the future.
My pleasure. It's been great sharing with you today and your listening audience. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us at The Path to Wealth. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Check out our upcoming guests and be sure to share it with all your friends and family that want to take their life to the next level of wealth.